Good morning from the garden and welcome to today's video, which is all about this marvelous bush called honeyberry. If you're not growing honeyberries yet, then I hope that by the end of this video you'll be convinced that they are a valuable addition to just about any garden. I've been growing honeyberries for about 12 or 13 years. I first planted some bushes in our backyard, then I planted some in my parents' garden when I ran out of space. And in this large plot that we have since 2016, I planted about 5 or 6 varieties, but I'm still adding new ones because better modern varieties are becoming available here in the Netherlands. Last week, we visited a nursery, Eetbaargoed, here in the Netherlands, which is specialized in honeyberries, and I came away with lots of wisdom that I want to share with you, as well as some new varieties. They've been growing honeyberries for quite some time, and they collected many varieties from all over the world, and they're testing them for their suitability to our climate, but also for other good qualities. I will link to the nursery below in case some of my Dutch or Belgian friends would like to order the varieties that I'll be talking about. But first, let's look into why you should be growing honeyberries at all. If you live in Northern America, in Canada especially, then you might know honeyberries under a different name, and that's haskap. And haskap is derived from their Japanese name because Japan, the island of Hokkaido especially, is one of the places that can be found in the wild. Haskap, I'm told, means in Japanese many gifts on a branch, and it's an indication of how much they are valued in Japan for their early ripening and also for their health-giving properties. They are full of very rich in antioxidants, even more so than blueberries. They flower very early, which makes them an important source of pollen and nectar for foraging bees early in the season. And they also ripen very early. In our climate, they're the second berries to ripen after silverberry, which is the berry that we filmed our last video about. You can go back and watch that if you're interested. They begin ripening, most of the varieties begin ripening before strawberries, which otherwise are the first berries that ripen here. They're very easy to grow, unlike blueberries, which they resemble in taste somewhat. They're unfussy about soil, where blueberries need very acidic soil. Honeyberries can accommodate a wider range of pH, of soil acidity. So I often advise them to people who want to grow blueberries when I design a garden, and often people will want to grow blueberries, but the soil is not suitable, it's not acidic enough, then I advise them to consider honeyberries. They're also healthy plants. They don't have many pest or disease problems apart from birds, so you might need to take some precautions against those, but otherwise they're very easy and require no special care. They will fruit well even with minimal pruning, but if you do want to prune them, then you can adopt a similar regimen to black currants, which means taking out some of the oldest branches to stimulate the bush to regrow, to renew. Like I said, I got some new varieties, 3 new varieties in fact, but first let's have a look at our oldest bushes here so that you can get an idea of what the fully grown plant will look like. These are the 2 largest bushes of honeyberries that we have in this garden. They're Polish varieties called Duet and Atut. And as you can see, they're quite. This is about the size of the full-grown bushes. They are comparable to currants, I'd say, but you can see that they might differ a bit in the way they grow. Like this one is a bit more spreading and lower, and this one is more upright and taller. They also have different fruit shape. I think most of these have been eaten either by us or by birds by now. I'll have a look whether I can find one of the other variety here as well. And I think their taste is quite nice, but they have one quality which is not that great, and it's something that you will find in more varieties, and that is that when the fruit is ripe, it tends to fall off the branches very easily. And the thing is that the fruit only becomes fully aromatic, sweet, after about 7 or to 10 days after it has reached the color of the ripe berries after it has turned blue. So if it starts falling off too early, then it will not really reach the full taste, and also harvesting becomes more a thing of picking up the berries from the ground than really picking them from the bush. That's the reason why I had Arjan Mekelenkamp from nursery Eetbaargoed advise me on some varieties that I should add to my garden which have better properties, and that means great taste, large sized berries, and they which stay on the bush longer. So let's have a look at those, and I'll tell you more about the varieties that I'm about to plant. According to Arjan, the best varieties currently are coming from Canada. A lot of breeding is done in Canada at the University of Saskatchewan. And so all the varieties that he advised me to get are Canadian varieties. We already have two other Canadian varieties. One of them is this bush behind me, which, as you can see, is quite a lot smaller. It was planted later than the varieties that I showed you before. And the one that we have here is called Indigo Gem, which has a synonym under which I bought it, so that can be sometimes confusing, but it's also called My Berry Farm. One of the things that I should mention is pollination. You need more than one variety for good fruit setting, but not all varieties are compatible. So it's important to, if you only grow two, then to have two varieties that can pollinate each other. Since we're growing, how many? I think with these three added, it will be 8 varieties in our garden, and also our neighbors have some varieties. Pollination is not likely to be a problem, but like I said, if you only grow 2, then you have to be careful about which ones you choose. So the 3 varieties that I bought are Aurora, this one, which already has lots of fruits in it. You can see that one of the advantages of honeyberries is that they start fruiting very early. The other one here is Boreal Beauty. It also already has quite large fruits on it. And the last one is Boreal Blizzard. It's a little smaller plant. These 3 have very tasty fruits. They have some of the most sweet and aromatic ones and the largest berries. So those are the reasons to choose those 3. And I want to show you a close-up just for comparison. So these are fruits of the 2 Polish varieties that we're growing. This is Duet and this is Atut and Duet. And this is Aurora, the variety that I'll be planting today. You can see the fruits are much larger, and they should also get even larger when the bushes are older. I also did a little taste test, and I think the Aurora is my favorite. It's probably the sweetest with the least bitterness. Some of the varieties can, like I think it was Atut, can have a little bitterness as well, but this one is really good when fully ripe. I want to plant these 3 in a group, quite close together. I think about 1 meter apart, 3 feet. And that also means that later it will be easier to net them as a group if we want to do that. One important thing, mulch is the key word. As with many berries, it's really great for the bushes to keep them keep the soil moist and to stimulate good soil life, which according to Arjan is even more important than the amount of nutrients in the soil. What I do is pull the wood chip mulch aside and then dig a little hole for the berry. Let's see whether it's root bound. Not really badly. I give it a good soak before planting. And you can plant it a little deeper in order to stimulate more branches to form. This Boreal Blizzard. I also give it a little soak here, but under the wood chip mulch the soil is really keeps moist, so I think even if I plant it without giving it any water at all now, just a good mulch layer, it would be fine. You can also see how beautifully dark the soil here is, rich in humus. So, and then after this is done, then I can pull the wood chips back So, like that. Done. This bush, Aurora, is, as you can see, a bit larger. Arjan advised me to plant it deeper and even, if possible, at a slight angle in order to stimulate the bush. Oh, no, not root bound at all. To form new shoots. So as you can see, it's really, I don't know whether you can see it actually. I'm putting it quite deep, maybe about like 15 centimeters deeper than the pot, the soil in the pot. I hope that's enough. If Arjan's watching, then he will approve. Oh. So, and then the wood chips back. Grow, bugger, grow. Years ago, I heard Alan Titchmarsh from BBC Gardener's World, I think it was, saying that he learned when he started in gardening that you should talk to trees when you plant them and say grow, bugger, grow. So that's what we've been saying ever since. The last bush that I'm planting is Boreal Beauty, and again you can see it only branches very, like the first, I don't know, 20 centimeters are bare, so I will be planting it even deeper than the previous one in order to stimulate it to form new growth. We want to eat most of the berries that we grow fresh, straight from the bush, or maybe if in the future we have a really large harvest, then we'll make some preserves. But according to Arjan, there are some varieties that are especially well suited to freezing. So if you want to freeze in your harvest, the varieties to go for are Ugana and Boreal Beast. And then there are others that are especially well suited to dehydration, and those are Honeybee and Gordos Bactera. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. So those are, if you are into dehydrating your harvest, then those are some to consider. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments whether you're maybe already growing honeyberries or whether I convinced you to go and get some bushes for your garden. Happy gardening!